been 100 days since Minnesota last had 2 senators. A 3-judge panel in the state finally declared a winner. Our third story, Minnesota's junior senator is Al Franken. The land of 10,000 litigations may finally swear in Amy Klobuchar's colleague, or so we would think. After a statewide recount and a 7-week trial, Franken is 312 votes ahead. A tripartisan judicial panel has handed down a 68-page opinion concluding, quote, the overwhelming weight of the evidence indicates that the November 4th, 2008 election was conducted fairly, impartially, and accurately. Al Franken himself appearing before the press last night, adding a few more numbers to the mix, the point of this whole mess in the first place.
This long delay in the seating of Minnesota's second U.S. Senator has come at a time when our state badly needs help from Washington. Since Election Day, Minnesota has lost 56,000 jobs. Since Election Day, more than 9,000 Minnesota families have lost their homes to foreclosure.
Not so fast. Mr. Franken's opponent, Republican ex-Senator Norm Coleman, says he'll appeal to the state Supreme Court. Coleman campaign attorney Ben Ginsburg says they'll file sometime next week, citing 4,000 Minnesotans remain, quote, wrongly disenfranchised by the court's order. Today, Mr. Coleman called for Mr. Franken's patience.
It's a 6-year Senate term, and it's, if it's going to take a period of time to get it right for the Supreme Court to rule on this constitutional issue, I believe it's the right thing to do.
As for Coleman's fellow Republicans, some of whom last week at the ultra-conservative National Review called for him to withdraw with dignity, radio silence till this afternoon. In a fundraising email to supporters, National Republican Senatorial Committee Chair John Cornyn called the judicial panel's opinion fundamentally misguided. Wading further into the political muck, Minnesota's Republican Governor Tim Pawlenty. The governor now says he does not know if he will sign Mr. Franken's election certificate, suggesting he will wait to see if this case reaches federal court. Joining me now, the lead recount attorney for the Franken campaign, Mark Elias. Mr. Elias, thank you for your time tonight.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
The Coleman team saying it's going to appeal. It argues 4,400 voters have been disenfranchised. Do you know on what basis?
I don't. Truth be told, they have thrown around different numbers. At one point they said it was 11,000, then they said it was 7,000, then it was 5,500, and then it was maybe 1,360, then it was 4,700. Now today I hear it's 4,400. All I know is this. These ballots have been gone through on election night by the county officials. They were gone through again by the county officials as part of a Supreme Court review. They were then gone through during this trial when Mr. Coleman had opportunity to call all the witnesses he wanted, call all the voters, call all the election officials, put in any evidence he wanted, and I don't know what at this point he thinks is left.
The latest comment from the governor, for weeks he had been saying that he would side with the courts. Is he backtracking now? What has happened here?
I don't know quite what to make of Governor Pawlenty's statements. I have confidence that at the end of this process, the Supreme Court will uphold the district court's decision. And the Supreme Court has already indicated in a previous opinion that at the end of the state court process, which ends with their decision, the certificate will issue. And I remain hopeful and have confidence that the governor, despite what he may be saying now, when we get to that point, will abide by the law and abide by his state Supreme Court.
Some of the National Review commentators seem to have seen the light about this in the big picture last week. Mr. Coleman and the Republicans need to get out now while there's still some dignity available to them. Is that turning out not to be enough of an enticement? Does somebody have to say to the Republicans, maybe to Governor Pawlenty, what about the state's interests? What about upholding the state constitution? And if those things don't bother you, what about impeaching the governor?
Well, look, former Senator Coleman at this point has a decision to make. He had this decision to make at the beginning of the election contest when he had to decide whether or not to put the state through 7 weeks of trial. At that point, he felt like if he went forward, he'd be able to prove that he received more votes. Quite to the contrary, not only didn't he prove that he received more votes, our margin actually increased from 225 to 312. So former Senator Coleman has to decide right now whether to appeal. And the fact that he has the right to appeal doesn't mean that appealing is the right thing to do. So we will wait and see what former Senator Coleman's decision is and whether he pushes this forward or to the state Supreme Court or not.
Do you have any reason to suspect after all this time that he's not going to appeal this? And, I mean, presumably you have a strategy planned for, I'm going to say, when he appeals this.
Well, look, we will be prepared if he appeals. We'll be prepared at that point to argue our position. Former Senator Coleman has argued his equal protection claims and his other claims in a number of forums now. He has not attracted, suffice to say, widespread support or really any support for them. So we're prepared to go forward with the state Supreme Court. In terms of whether he will or won't appeal, that's obviously his decision to make. I did note that his lawyers today, though they said that he was going to appeal, they also said that notice of appeal might not come till next week. So maybe he's using a few days here to think this over.
Perhaps time well spent. Somebody should. Mark Elias, the lead attorney for Al Franken's recount team. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.